This interview took place in June 2019 with Soke Briggs of Kidokime-Ry Karate Do.
Practice from here.
Here is just an example of some of the junior Kidokime-Ry students all over the United States.
We're sparring, and he's got his hand up to keep him together. Right here. That's what it's meant, right there. There you go.
Soke Briggs was promoted to 10th degree black belt, Judan, in August 2018 by Hanshi White. This interview takes place to discuss the martial arts, American karate, and where martial arts have been and where it's going. Kidokime-Ry was founded by Soke Briggs in the mid to late 1980s. He has several black belts in Japanese, Okinawan, and Korean karate, empty hand martial arts, including Hapkido, American Taekwondo, Shotokan karate, and he has even studied Isshin-Ryu and Jeet Kune Do. Bobby Briggs is a person who loves his country and has devoted years, as he first started in the U.S. Army, and then he transferred into the security forces of the United States Air Force as a law enforcement specialist, and was also a military training instructor. After retiring as a master sergeant from the United States Air Force, Bobby Briggs became a police officer for the Charlotte Police Department, North Carolina. He has recently retired from the police department and now devotes his time to karate. This synthesis of American karate and Japanese karate and Okinawan karate and Korean karate seeks to provide the best of all worlds: discipline and respect, a moral code to live by, to make good citizens, to make better husbands and wives and brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and neighbors, as well as providing students with the means not only to protect themselves, but to create an reform and to go through this self-discovery, this journey of the way of the empty hand. Soke Briggs is also taught around the world and has actually kickboxed in the Philippines and has competed in the United States in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. So this conversation was held at the Abilene Karate Club in Abilene, Texas, with Kiyoshi Ken Herforth.
So, Soke, I want to thank you very much for coming to Abilene and the Abilene Karate Club and coming to our school where we teach Kidokime-Ry. Thank you very much. And what I wanted to do is just get a little videotape and put it out there and talk about things that are important to us. And we'll start with one, why we're in our gis. It's martial arts.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your history in the martial arts and where you're at today, and just all the things you've practiced and things you've done.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me out. It was my pleasure coming out here. I really, really enjoyed it. Your class is top notch, which I would expect from you. I really appreciate that. It was my honor working with you and working with them and just getting to have fun. And basically, I guess as a kid, I started out really, really young. I don't know the exact age. It was under 10. I tried to study any way that I could. I was raised on a farm up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, between the Blue Ridge and the Smokies, around the Appalachian area up there. My family was poor. My dad most of the time worked 2 jobs. My mom was working 2 jobs. My grandmother and grandfather that lived on the same farm as we did basically raised us. So money wasn't out there. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't, we didn't have a lot of it. So luckily for me, there were some places close by that was fairly cheap at that time, because we're talking 60s, 70s more than anything else. So it was a hard life. and sometimes I had to get, I've walked to class before. I've put up hay, cut tobacco, done whatever I could, earn money and pay for classes. I've done all kinds of stuff. I've trained with people when I couldn't afford to go to classes, friends that would go to classes, and we'd get together and they'd kind of show me what was going on at times that I couldn't pay for it. So things were kind of rough. And I'm really blessed being where I am today, because starting out that rough, probably nobody would think that a little poor kid raised on a farm up in the mountains of western North Carolina would ever achieve much. And certainly God has blessed me quite a bit, and that's where I owe the most of my thanks to, first and foremost, because starting there and then up through my teenage years, of course, things were starting to get better. I've studied in Asheville, North Carolina. While I was up there, I studied different forms of American karate, Isshin-Ryu karate from Sensei Kidokime-Ry, that is still up in that area. I've studied Jeet-Kune-Do up in that area, Shooto-Ryu up in that area. Actually in Asheville is where I got my very first black belt, which was in Taekwondo. I've been studying other styles, and at one time I was studying 3 different things at one time, 3 different disciplines at one time. But anyway, after I graduated high school, soon after that I got married, and it was hard living. So I joined the military to try to make ends meet. And Uncle Sam has really helped me out. Because if it wasn't for Uncle Sam, I would have never been able to travel to Japan, Okinawa, the Philippines, all over the United States, train with some of the best martial arts there is, like yourself.
Oh, of course, thank you.
Just South America, Central America, just all over. And to be perfectly honest with you, if I had not left that area in western North Carolina, as poor as what it was up there, and had joined the military, I would have never gotten that opportunity. So, and I've been lucky, you know, spent 24 years in the military, and so I've traveled and I've seen quite a bit, and was able to study quite a bit of different disciplines because of that.
Yeah.
I've made some really, really good friends in the process, because as you know, especially in the black belt world, it's a close-knit brotherhood.
Right.
For those of us that goes about it and gets it right, that don't go to a dojo and buy a belt every 10 or 12.
Especially younger generation probably don't realize that martial arts in America is largely due to American military GIs like World War II going overseas, taking the opportunity of being in the military, and this great opportunity to study with Okinawa and Japanese masters and Korean masters, and bringing that knowledge back here. I can think of Joe Louis, famous Joe Louis is one, and Chuck Norris in the Korean Peninsula is another.
You're right. I know so many people in the military. I used to tell my subordinates, they get there, just waste opportunity, not just with martial arts, so many other opportunities, and stay in the dorm or go get drunk. And like there's so much available to you here. Take advantage of it. It's true. You started in Isshin-Ryu, and I know you've studied Jeet-Kune-Do, and you've developed an eclectic system, Kidokime-Ry, and it's borrowed from many different types of martial arts systems. What do you think makes American karate so unique?
I think what makes it unique more than anything else is because it's more open-minded. You and I both have studied Japanese martial arts pretty thoroughly, and I love them. I love Japanese martial arts, I really do. And Kidokime-Ry is more than anything else. It's more of a Japanese way of teaching, because we still teach about the Bushido code and stuff like that. It's got so much Japanese in it, but American martial arts, like you said, is just a mixture of everything. And if you get in some of these closed styles, Taekwondo, you get in some of the more strict, how can I say it, just strict Japanese styles like Shotokan, Goju-Ryu, Wado-Ryu, Shooto-Ryu. They're really hardcore Japanese styles, and I don't think most of them, and again, I'm generally speaking, but I don't think most of them are as open to learning something new or applying newer techniques. And that's what American karate is all about. Is, hey, if it works, let's practice, give it a shot. So I think Americans at this point, and this century right now, I mean, to me, we're more ahead than, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people, but I think we're more ahead than the Koreans, the Japanese, or anything else, because we adapt all that stuff and put it together. And it's like Bruce Lee said, hey, if it works, use it. If it don't, throw it away. Throw it away. And
Bruce Lee comes up with Jeet Kune Do in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't come up with, of course he was younger, but he didn't come up with Hong Kong.
Right.
And in America, the whole world opens, and one can do that. But there is a danger, because a lot of American karate schools become so commercialized. And I understand the need to get students, but they become so commercialized, everything becomes watered down. And you found a unique way, bringing in the eclectic part of it, and keeping it still strong and traditional, with its roots in the Japanese culture. And for an example, the ceremony of bowing in and bowing out, and promotion exams.
Right.
I mean, promotion exams, you just don't give a belt to and say, hey, great job, and slap them on the back.
doesn't mean as much
Right.
when you do that. In our opinion.
In our opinion,
you and I
right.
both agree.
So you've kept a lot of that strong tradition, so they know the roots are in Japan. But you've also been able to say, but let's borrow some of these eclectic ideas of fighting and use it to our advantage. And how do you think that has come out for your students and for the karate world?
Well, I think it has really helped our students, and as you know, I would say 70-75% of what we teach is Japanese, traditional Japanese stuff. Because most of my background, most of your background, is in traditional Japanese martial arts.
Right.
You practice Tang Soo Do, which is Korean. I've got a black belt in Hapkido and Taekwondo, which is Korean.
Right.
But most of my background is from Japanese martial arts, and I think when you take something like that and just take the finer points or the good points and put it all together and have an open mind about it, I think it helps out people today.
Right.
Because it's more realistic. Let's face it, we don't fight wars.
Right.
In the military, here in 2019, the way that we did in, let's say, during World War II,
Right.
in the 1940s. If the concept is to grow your military and, progress as the world progresses, why can't the martial arts do the same thing? You've got to, there's women that's getting assaulted and raped on the street. Used to, the way you taught martial arts in the 1950s, that may have helped them. Well, things have changed now.
Right.
So you got to give them a little bit more. You got to help them out a little bit more and be more aware. And so you can take that and apply it to the way that we teach American karate
Right.
today.
Yeah, it's true.